afternoon, everybody. My name is Itayo Memi. I'm pleased to be with you this afternoon. I've been assigned to handle this session today, and we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic, which has to do with business valuation for your business. It's very interesting because it determines a whole lot of things about your business. It determines your decision to, let's say, even go for funds. It determines your decision to invest. It determines your decision to buy business. It determines even your decision if you have to, let's say, you want to sue another entity. So a whole lot of things really matters and hinges on the value of the business, which is yours, or a third person, a third party business. So you see why we said this session is very crucial for you as an entrepreneur and also for you as a decision maker. So let's get into it today. What's business valuation? Business valuation has to do with understanding, let's put it that way, the economic value of a business, a one entity. Meaning, how do I get to know the true value of the business I'm operating or the business I want to invest in? We've said why business valuation is essential. So let's just come to certain critical factors that affect business valuation. I intend to leave you with two realistic options of valuing your business. And before we get to that, let me take you through those factors that affect business valuation. The first factor is the management factor. I call it management factor because investors and generally people invest in people, not necessarily ideas. People invest in people, investors invest in founders, investors invest in the visionary, and not necessarily the product, the service, or the idea. And this is so because a business might just be as good as the visionary. A business or an idea, the quality of the idea is not sufficient without a quality management team. That leads us to the question: what criteria did you put in place to pick your management? It leads us to the question: who are your directors? Why are they your directors? We ask this question because in the course of a lot of trainings that we have anchored for entrepreneurs, business executives, we have discovered that there is a sentiment of bringing people on board a business just because they are my family members. When you want to have quality valuation for that business, you must look away from being family members to ensuring that every person that is on your board has some qualifications that is going to help the business valuation strategically. So if Mr. Ola, who is a medical personnel, is brought on board an IT firm as a director by reason of just being a medical personnel, which has no direct value, doesn't have direct value to the business, compared to a competing business, which brings on board Mr. Chidoze, who is a tech expert with a lot of qualifications. on the face of it, you might agree with me that Mr. Chidoze's company would have more valuation on the face of it by reason of the competence, the quality of person that is brought on board that brand. What we are saying is this: you must be very intentional about your board. It doesn't stop there. Be intentional about your company secretary, be intentional about even your shareholders. Ensure that every shareholder, every person on board has a reason for being on board, which is clearly justified. So a shareholder that is on board has brought something of value to the company, and even every founder on board are not just founders and shareholders by reason of the fact that we came together, we held meeting, we started, but also because they have agreed to commit time for a period of time to scale the business. And this is called vesting clause. So you must have some vesting clause that binds the founders to the company to grow the business over a period of time, to own what the company is offering to them as their share of being a part of the company. So everything is about structuring, and structuring is essential because it affects the quality and the value of your business. So the management, the founder, the next point is what line of service, what line of product is that brand into. Now, this is the way this affects valuation. During the lockdown and by reason of COVID-19, you would agree with me that certain industries, some players within those industries, they had a shooting up of value because they were more relevant for the present time than some other industries. So we have the example of IT companies, we have the example of pharmaceuticals, we have the example even of medical companies. These companies experienced growth in their valuation. Let's say more like a quantum leap in their valuation. Now, relatively, you would notice that certain other industries and some players in other industries, they had a shortfall in their valuation because the value, the need for their product and service at the time dropped massively. So this is where products and services also have a way of affecting company valuation. We have discussed two critical things that would likely affect your company valuation. We've talked about your management, the quality of people you have on board. We've encouraged that you should be deliberate about who you have on board. And we've talked about your service and your product. We've talked about how these two affect the company valuation. Now let's quickly come to the two realistic options of valuation for that business. And because of this, I would also try to establish how you can value your idea if you are at the phase of trying to establish a business and you are yet to get it started. The first we will talk about is this. It's called asset-based valuation. What do we mean by asset-based valuation? If you are looking at asset-based valuation, then you're saying your intention is to understand first the value, the realistic value of the assets of the business. The assets include the liquid assets, the cash at hand, cash in bank. It includes your those things you invested in, property, and a whole lot of other things, and not just the purchase value, but the value at the period of valuation, as it were. So if I decide, let's say on behalf of a company which I founded, if we decide to invest in, let's say, buying a property, now over a period of time, there's a chance that the property will increase in value. That's a positive value. But if I decide to invest in purchasing a car on behalf of the company, over a period of time, there's going to be a diminishing of value because of natural occurrences and all of that. So we have to look at the realistic value of the assets at the material time when valuation is being done. Now, when we look at the realistic values, we then look also at the liabilities. What liabilities does the company have at that material time? So we look at their indebtedness, at their cost to be paid, and all of those things. Consider all of these things, and then we do a plus and minus, asset minus liability. What does it give to us? Now, with this, you begin to have a hint of what the realistic value of the business is going to be like at that material time and all of that. Now, we come to the second option, which is called relative valuation. From the word relative valuation, it simply means that you are trying to look at relatively what is the value of entities within your industry. What's their base value like? Relative valuation comes to play most especially when you're trying to make a decision, let's say on a startup or at ideal level. So you begin to look at, relatively speaking, this business I want to venture valuation of existing businesses dealing in that line like. But the challenge with this option is the fact that you may not even be able to get it perfectly. Now, this is because valuation documents are not usually public documents. So there's going to be a lot of speculation, a lot of thinking, a lot of assumptions about what you think the value of certain businesses are. Come to think of another thing, two industries, or better still, two companies playing within the same industry and already in existence does not mean they have the same value. So we give the example of the industry producing Coca-Cola, the industry producing Pepsi. The question is, are they at par in their valuation? So these are areas we begin to see that the approach of relative valuation may not necessarily give birth to a perfect form of valuation, but this is what it does for you. It gives you a hint of what the valuation could be and what you can, where you can get to, averagely speaking. Now, this also helps you even at the ideal level when you are doing your planning. See, a second way of valuing at the ideal level is to simply put together your business plan. In putting your business plan together, you begin to have a hint of the needs over a period of time. This and this and this are things that needs to be done, and this and this and this are the likely cost for those things that are needed. So when you have all of these things in place, it gives you a hint as well of valuation at the ideal level. So you see, what we've tried to do is to establish that you at that level of trying to set out to start your business, you can actually use relative valuation to try to do your valuation at that point, or you could even use the option of putting together your business plan to try to establish what the value of the business would be. There's a third option though, which has to do with you trying to forecast and also compare the present valuation, what the present inflow and outflow looks like. But the challenge with that in an economy like ours is that a whole lot of things fluctuate so much, and so that's why we are limiting ourselves to these two realistic options that you can consider in giving valuation to your business. Now to recap, we have tried to establish why you need to value your business. We have said that it helps your investment decision so that you don't overprice or underprice your shares, your company shares. We've also said that it helps where you need to buy a business or even a merger decision where you need to merge with an existing business. If you do not understand valuation, then you might just get out there making a reckless decision on pricing your business. We've also said that it helps you even in making decisions as well on whether to pursue a business in the court of law. You need to be sure that that brand to a large extent is able to pay whatever it owes. We've said all of these things and a host of other things. We've also talked about the two factors that affect valuation. We've talked about the management. We've encouraged that you get quality board members on board and do not be moved by the sentiment of people being within your comfort space, family members, friends, and all, in choosing who you bring on board as your board of directors. We've even encouraged that your shareholding structure, you must be intentional and ensure that a thing of value is given by the shareholders that are on board the structure. We've also talked about how your service line and your products affects valuation. We've given the example of the COVID-19 season and how it has, scaled some businesses, some industries, and how some other industries also had a drop in their valuation. And finally, we've talked about the two realistic valuation options for that business, and we hope that you have been able to benefit a lot from this session. Please feel free to let us know if you have any question. We will be glad to answer. Just drop your questions in the comment box, and if there are feedbacks you have for us, so please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for this session, and we look forward to being with you again by next week at the same time. Thank you once again.